I'm somebody who started a very small business in 1983. I think the one big problem here in Pakistan is the normal life cycle of a company is that you have a startup, you move to an SME, you move to a large-scale company, and that's the same with our political system. जब elections आते हैं ना, हम ढोल, बाजे, तूतनियाँ, everything, इतनी energy हम डालते हैं उनको elect करने के लिए. You can have the best human capital, you can have the best technology. If this public and private sector cooperation isn't there, you're not going to grow. There are certain things that a company controls itself. So your product, your value proposition, your route to market, what gives you the strengths in the market is something that you control. But I think what we've got to look at in Pakistan is those variables which we do not control. And after coming to Pakistan since 2016 on a very regular basis and interacting with startups, SMEs, and the large corporations, I've come to certain conclusions. And I'll tell you why I'm slightly qualified to give that opinion. I'm somebody who started a very small business in 1983 with almost no capital. Almost no capital. That company today is probably one of the largest food service companies which controls 60% of the independent market in the UK. I retired from that business operationally 13 years ago. I have 29 other businesses where I do not get involved operationally at all. And they're still running and growing. So there's a lesson somewhere in that for all of us here. I think the one big problem here in Pakistan is the normal life cycle of a company is that you have a startup, you move to an SME, you move to a large-scale company, and in between you may sell, but that's a different proposition because then you're out of the equation. You've made your money and you want to live your style. I'm talking about those people who want to go and create a unicorn, a global market company that leads that sector. That path has to be that you go from a large company to probably a listed company. But in Pakistan, because of our patriarchal system, Mamu, Abu, Masi, all these people वो अंदर घुस आते हैं. हर बंदा अपने अपने एम्पायर्स बिल्ड कर रहा है कि मेरा जो ख़ानदान है किस तरीके से इसको कंट्रोल करेगा. ये एक लिमिटिंग फैक्टर है जो आप सबको पता है कि क्या हो रहा है. उसमें ये होता है कि जो मेरिट बेस्ड एम्प्लॉयमेंट होती है उसमें रुकावट आ जाती है. दूसरी जो रिश्वत बेस्ड एम्प्लॉयमेंट क्रिएट की जाती है वो आपको मेरिटोक्रेसी को किल कर देती है. आपके जो बोर्ड्स मैंने ऑब्जर्व किए हैं उनमें 90% ऑफ द पीपल आर नॉट fit to run a rickshaw or a ready, never mind run a corporation. So Hamdan, if there's a lesson in stopping us becoming corporates, we need to move to meritocracy, evaluation, and accountability. And that's the same with our political system. जब elections आते हैं ना, हम ढोल, बाजे, तूतनियाँ, everything, इतनी energy हम डालते हैं उनको elect करने के लिए. But जब election खत्म हो जाता है ना, where is the transparency, where is the accountability, and where is the measurement of impact? None whatsoever. So don't blame the people who are leaders, blame yourself for not having that accountability cycle. The same applies in commercial sector. So that's the one factor that is limiting us, and I just wanted to have a kind of a throw on the discussion that was having before. There's the second part, which is a must that we must all consider. अगर मैंने बाहर पिस्ताशियोज का बाग लगाना है, तो उसकी जो environment है, एक तो soil की environment है, फिर weather की environment है, और फिर जो मैंने human capital इस्तेमाल करना है उसकी देखभाल करने के लिए, ये तीन fundamental चीज़ें हैं जो अगर मैंने इन तीनों को ठीक नहीं किया, that project will be either miserable or it will utterly fail. The same is true for growing businesses. पाकिस्तान में एक environment है कि जो आपके सबसे बड़े बड़े businesses हैं ना, वो totally अपनी society से secluded हैं. वो एक ऐसे bubbles में रह रहे हैं कि actually they do not connect with the ordinary people. क्यों? Here the environment is not nourishing and encouraging enterprise. क्यों? 60 to 70% जो आपकी economic activity है, वो informal economy, cash economy. Imagine that you have a shop or a factory or a technology company. You want to grow that first in every city in Pakistan. उसको grow करने के लिए आपको fundamentally organizational effectiveness चाहिए. What does that mean? That means that you need every single point of data and activity that is happening, so you know exactly who's doing what and whether they're doing it correctly. That means adoption of technology and real management, effective merit-based management. Why do we not adopt technology? Because it makes all your transactions apparent and you have to pay tax on it. We simply do not like paying taxes. Magar, we want best roads, we want the best hospitals, we want the best this, best that. So there are some faults on our side which need to be put right. I can understand why some people don't want to pay taxes, because they believe the taxes are not being spent properly. So these are the environmental things that Jumpstart and you people have to actually consider, and those that are in power. When I talk about accountability, वो बदतमीजी से accountability हमने नहीं करनी. With respect and arms, with love and affection as true Pakistanis, we need to see it to the institutions. These are the things that we need in order for us as businesses to grow. So this public and private partnership based on merit and honesty is missing. You can have the best human capital, you can have the best technology. If this public and private sector cooperation isn't there, you're not going to grow. Now I will come to the subject of what are the foundations that you need to build as a company to grow. You know, a lot of people will talk about value proposition, market product fit, you know, your financial controls, your global positioning, your branding. All these things are very pertinent. But there is one thing that a lot of us tend to miss, and that is the big stumbling block. What is that? In a recent survey by Harvard University, I think there were over 15,000 companies that they surveyed, from startups to medium-sized companies and large corporations. And the fundamental question that they were trying to find from the CEOs Why was it that they had the product, they had the finance, they had the human capital, they had technology, they had the know-how, all the things that you said that we need, they had all that. So why is it that they were not growing? And this is so simple, it is unbelievable. And a lot of research now is actually focused on this. Google and companies like that have actually adopted this new methodology, which is every business mentor will tell you that you need to have a vision. You need to have a mission. You need to have values, and you need to have a culture statement. What I'm going to say to you is going to shock you. What really is stopping you is your lack of delivering your vision to your stakeholders. Your inability as a leader to communicate your vision properly to your stakeholders. So this survey found that 49% of the board members, when really questioned about what the vision was and what it meant for them in terms of their jobs and role and responsibility, could not simply explain it at all. So there was no alignment of their work's purpose to the company's vision. That is your C-suite people. Globally, 49%. Imagine half of your leading team doesn't even know what their vision is and how that relates to their role in order to deliver your deliverables. That's a disaster. Let's move to middle management. When they studied the middle management, 69% of your middle management. Now, these are the very people who are directing your workforce to deliver departmental objectives. Can you imagine the disaster that is happening when your team leaders, 69% of them, don't know what they're there for and what is the purpose of their job? Now you're going to get a shock of your life. 89% of your frontline staff have no idea what your vision means. They don't know what the mission is, and they certainly do not know what the culture of your organization is. And these are the very people that are the face of your organization, that are presenting your value proposition to your potential customers and your existing customers. So I put it to you all, everything that you've been mentored about, whether it be finance, whether it be your value proposition, your marketing, your logistics, your value chain, all those are extremely important. But let me assure you, all those assets and all those expertise that you've assembled, if you do not convey your vision properly to all your stakeholders, you're a zombie. You're a walking dead. This Fortune 500 club that we've created, it has 22 different segments of syllabus which we teach you. We do a full SWOT analysis on your company. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? Where are the threats? And where are the opportunities? Some companies that I've been mentoring for the last 25 years, some of the biggest companies like the NHS in England, the Department of Health, Department of Trade, I've been a director on them for the last 15 years. I mentor some of the biggest company names that you can imagine. This is the biggest worry in the 21st century post-COVID. please get engaged. Your communication policy is the way forward. And I'll leave with this. The way out of this is a concept called vivid vision. Google it. There's a chap called Harold Cameron. He is the genius of this concept. And fundamentally what that means, you need to, vivid means clarity of vision. What you need to do is imagine that whatever your vision is, 3 years on, you are actually physically standing in your offices in 2025 now with your team. And everything that you imagined that you wanted to achieve, you have achieved. But what you do, you walk into your marketing department. Now, in your imagination, you imagine the number of people that you've employed, and you imagine what work are they doing. What is the messaging, content messaging that they're doing? What is the tactics that your marketing is doing? How are they creating the sales funnel? How is the customer services whole network being operated? How are you getting new customers, and how are you building your existing customers so they spend more and become more loyal? So you write that down precisely what you've achieved in 3 years. You then move into your finance department. What systems are you doing? What dashboards have you got? What is it that you're measuring that gives you real reality of the state of your company? The finance that you've borrowed, how is it working out? How have you ensured that the return on capital and the various other variables that you measure have been delivered? You write that down with clarity. You move to your HR department. A lot of the companies that I mentor, when they hire somebody, the onboarding is more of a bullying process rather than actually, employing them to succeed. So what are your HR policies? How are your staff? What are the tactics they're using to attract the best, onboard them, and grow them into the future leaders? Because if you do not grow future leaders, how on earth are you going to grow that company? Now, when you've done that exercise, and the founders and the key decision makers together need to create that vivid vision document that actually says what you look like when you've delivered your vision. So what you do then is what I call, back to future. You come back here, back in 2021. You call all your stakeholders, your staff, and you hand that vivid vision to them. Your job as a CEO or a managing director is not how to do it. Because if you're going to end up doing it, or your mama's going to end up doing it, or your brother's going to end up doing it, don't do this exercise. Don't listen to me. Just carry on with what you're doing, because you know best, right? And I'm just stupid. I'm just, just giving that. So the next thing that you've got to do, once you've assembled all your C-suite team, is if it's marketing, that the marketing team then has to go write their vision, which connects with your company's vision, vivid vision. So they come up with the tools and the tactics that will take you to 2025. I'll be sat there if you want more discussions. It will cost you a bit, but I'm here to give you the advice. Thank you.